People sometimes reveal their true selves in the most unexpected situations, leaving their contemporaries speechless and unable to comprehend the events that unfold. Such was the case with Jenny, a darling girl who won the Bachman-Berkman Award. Sweet Jenny, who had been orphaned and seemed destined for a life of solitude, shone brightly on the podium that day, leaving everyone in awe. Today, we delve into the war history of the genuine Bachman and her extraordinary story. Born in Hamburg in 1922, Jenny Wunder, a double-named girl, possessed a pure soul and an angelic appearance that aligned perfectly with the later emerging theory of the true Aryan. After graduating from high school, Jenny dreamed of a career in modeling and enrolled in a performing arts studio in Hamburg. As her beautiful photos graced the pages of magazines, her dreams came true and offers poured in from various publications, including fashion and men's magazines. Jenny embraced every opportunity, and soon her half-naked photos with an angelic face appeared in men's magazines, inspiring soldiers and officers to perform military deeds. Her Nordic profile captivated both civilians and military personnel, and her name became known throughout Germany and even abroad, in the Wehrmacht armies fighting from Africa to Stalingrad. It seemed like Jenny's life was a success, and her golden dream had become a reality. However, as time revealed, it was not enough for the model herself. In 1942, due to a shortage of personnel in concentration camps, the Nazis announced the recruitment of civilians for positions as wardens, guards, and other service staff. With high salaries, benefits, and the prospect of advancing to camp commander, they lured potential candidates. In 1944, Jenny Bachman, the genuine Bachman, responded to the call and was assigned to the Stutthof concentration camp near the town of the same name, just a couple of dozen kilometers from Donsk, nicknamed Baliostrogoi by a Lithuanian prose writer. Stutthof, known as the Forest of the Gods, was a place where only the guards and wardens were considered gods, while the prisoners endured their suffering silently. From her first days as a warden, Jenny Wunder Bachman established herself as one of the cruelest and most inventive torturers, surprising even the most respected members of the SS. The inmates soon gave her the nicknames Bachman the Charming Ghost and Mad Jenny. It was unimaginable for a simple, delicate girl with an angelic appearance to commit such atrocities against the prisoners. Jenny, the former model, showed particular cruelty towards Jewish and Polish women for reasons that remain unclear to this day. She punished her subordinates severely for even the slightest misdeeds, favoring a thin leather belt for beating them. According to witnesses, she beat several dozen women to death with this weapon alone. Bachman's second favorite pastime was separating mothers from their children, deriving abnormal pleasure from sending babies to the gas chambers before their mother's eyes. She also perfected many standard torture methods, driving her victims to insanity. The former model whipped the guilty on their feet and ankles, beat them with rubber sticks, and set dogs upon them. She even invited local doctors to conduct inhumane experiments on the unfortunate prisoners. According to former inmates, Jenny's angelic face transformed into a demonic mask of fury during these torture sessions, frightening even her fellow servicemen. Jenny Bachman's welcoming demeanor towards newcomers was another aspect of her manipulation. Many fell into the trap of her affectionate smile, only to receive poison candy and later endure brutal beatings for showing disrespect. Everyone lived in fear of Bachman, dreading even a casual glance in her direction, knowing that it could mean a gas chamber or an agonizing death. The former model's animal-like thirst for pleasure knew no bounds. Unfortunately for the prisoners, Stutthof was one of the last camps to be liberated on May 9, 1945. The camp administration managed to evacuate approximately 11,000 prisoners, and later 3,000 people, mostly of Jewish nationality, were shot. Many of the guards and wardens secretly fled to avoid falling into the hands of the advancing Red Army units. Barkman also fled with them, realizing her fate if discovered. For 4 months, she hid in Poland, not only remaining within the borders of Germany, but also not attempting to leave immediately. It is difficult to comprehend what the criminal hoped to achieve. Boldly, Barkman appeared in Gdansk, intending to board a train to leave Poland. However, the confiscated archives in Stutthof, containing files of all the camp prisoners and testimonies of the survivors, left her no chance of escaping punishment. The reference lists of Crazy Jenny or Mad Jenny were sent to all the liberated cities of Europe, and in Poland, and especially in Gdansk, anyone could recognize one of the most horrible guards from World War II. As expected, a military patrol identified Barkman at the railway station, and she was arrested and imprisoned. During the investigation, Jenny tried to charm one of the guards, Polish Army Corporal Joseph Loss, by using her looks and claiming that she had saved Jews in the camp and that many owed their lives to her. However, to obtain evidence of her alleged feat, Jenny needed to go free. If the guard had been someone other than a Jew who lost his wife and daughter at Stutthof, Barkman might have had a chance. But when Corporal Loss became acquainted with the materials of the indictment, he ceased approaching the cell door. Thus, the former photo model's slim chance of salvation vanished. During the investigation, Barkman displayed delusional behavior. First, she claimed that she was forced to become a guard due to Gestapo threats of repressing her family. When this version failed to convince, Barkman presented a new story, portraying herself as an anti-fascist who volunteered to work in the camp to alleviate the suffering of the inmates. Here, the evidence worked against her. Eventually, Jenny Wanda accepted her fate, realizing that the Pulse would not forgive her for her actions in the concentration camp. At the trial, Barkman behaved arrogantly, sneering at the old charges and even boasting about her torture and extermination methods. The expected sentence was the death penalty by hanging. The court file documented Barkman's words after the verdict was delivered. Life really is a great pleasure, and this pleasure usually doesn't last long. On July 4, 1946, Barkman and several other Nazi criminals were executed at Biskupnaya Hill. The condemned individuals were driven up in a truck, nooses were placed around their necks, and then the truck drove off. When it was Barkman's turn after the loops were put on, the truck stopped. The woman immediately ran out of the crowd and pushed exactly Barkman's legs off the truck. All the convicts waited for the car to start, and approximately 200,000 people were present at the execution. Some historians later asserted that Jenny Wanda's body was burned after the execution, and her ashes were flushed down the toilet. However, this is merely a beautiful rumor. Despite their hatred, the Pulse decided not to trouble themselves with the former executioners. The government decreed that the bodies of all executed Nazi criminals would serve one last time for a greater purpose, training future doctors and nurses. Thus, Barkman's life ended on the gallows, and her beautiful body became an exhibit for future medical luminaries for months to come. Thank you for watching this video on war history. Please consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like if you found it informative.